risk management perspective, right? Because somehow we all know, right, that there's been this issue where there's a belief that India has a way of jugaad. And I know because I was just building this GCC with our Swiss counterparts, right? And of course, Swiss, as we know, are being very methodical. They like to plan to the T before execute. And I've seen, at least in my current successful stint, we could actually explain them saying in India, things happen. We may not have planned to the last square, but we ensure that we deliver it to what we have to deliver.
Absolutely. I think two very interesting perspectives, right? Two different industries, but a commonality. When we start looking at the regulatory aspect, a lot of commonalities. One of my experiences that I see when we start handling risks and how do you handle regulatory compliance, what we typically look at is how do we create what we call a unified control framework, right? So we take in all these different compliance objectives, create a unified compliance framework. And I think from a GCC perspective, this is something that I would really urge the audience to kind of take back as something to look at, right? Creating a unified control framework allows you to essentially meet multiple regulations at one go, right? All of these regulatory bodies have got different standards, right? You'll have compliances that you have to meet, you have audits that you have to adhere to. So doing a unified control framework kind of helps you actually assess everything at one go, right? So you're not actually spinning multiple cycles, trying to do the same work over and over again. So that becomes a very important aspect when you're handling the regulatory side of it. I want to pivot from there and really talk a little bit about innovation, right? When we start looking at data handling, and AI is a big topic, right? Data plays in a big way on AI. What's your view on that, Abhishek? How do you look at driving innovation? How is your GCC driving innovation? And then how do you handle the data and the regulatory aspects on that data?
So I feel the GCC is going through an evolution phase, right? It was earlier believed that it is a part of the process which is being offshored in the GCC. From there to actually driving innovation is like a maturity curve that we all go through, and I'm sure each GCC is at its different part of that phase. We all started our GCCs where it's just a part of the process to full process coming in, accountability coming in, deliverables coming in, to now saying that let it become an innovation hub. And it's very, very important that at this stage, and I'll touch upon how AI is going to be used, but I'm just trying to say is why innovation is so important. Because I was just discussing with a few of our colleagues in this GCC summit, and we were all chatting that the cost arbitrage is going down. So if the cost arbitrage as a GCC is going to be going down, that our rates start matching the rates which are going to be in Spain, for example. And I'm not even talking about the East Europe. It's going to match Spain. And we can already see in case of Julius Baer, there's always a choice, should I send it to Madrid or should I send it to India? So with that, then AI innovation becomes inevitable, is what I would say.
Absolutely. I think, fabulous point in terms of bringing that connect between how is AI actually impacting, the commercial aspects of it. And it really plays into how do you really drive ROI out of, using AI. Great point, Abhishek. Just on the regulatory side, staying there and looking at it from a compliance perspective, Vineet, you want to talk about how do you look at maintaining compliance? How do you set it up from a control standpoint? Any suggestions to the audience that you would want to share?
Again, controls are defined with the frame, as you mentioned rightly, that you can come up with a unified framework which can adhere to multiple geographies, multiple compliances. Once you are at a certain control, you have to implement it. So implementation is, again, could be done on various stages. Again, if you're establishing it, we need to have some baselines created. So, and it can adhere to various technologies and the threat which we are currently trying to mitigate. So, depends on what exactly you're trying to achieve with that.
Good points. I think, and the threat point that you made is, I think, an interesting point. I'll actually come back to that threat point in a bit. But while we are still on the same topic of, how do we handle regulatory compliance, how do we handle controls? Abhishek, you spoke about, the P and the POEM model, right? If I was to look at security and how do we really build security to ensure that you adhere to those models, I know there are standard guidelines that have been followed for many years, but something that you want to talk about there, I mean, how do you make sure that data handling is still being compliant and things like that?
See, I feel the one main thing which we all understand, right? If the activity is being brought in India, which means there is a significant amount of rigor that the organization has gone through from outsourcing perspective to bring it to India. Now then the controls, one is these old, but I believe still very good, strong controls, which are in place, right? From which we used to at some point of time have it through shared drives and shared folders to now being VDI. I feel VDI that way is really helpful in ensuring that you manage data leakage well. In addition to that, I feel the other challenge which we keep seeing is we went actually in some of the GCCs, we went to the extent saying that, okay, post-COVID saying, no work from home, let everyone be there. There are roles which will only have laptops being locked to the premises. But today we know that it's a challenge that if we are going to run with that model, we won't be able to hire. People want flexibility on work. So that's where I believe the lot of data management and data leakage controls using right AI tools. Because here, if I start now putting in people, right, and that's the philosophy that we have to all, as we evolve our GCCs, have to get out, right, that we stop throwing people on a problem. There has to be more innovative, right ways of solving the controls part. And that's where AI, I believe, is going to play a lot of big role for us.
Great points, Abhishek. And I agree with you. I think some of the foundational controls that have been used for a long time, coupled with some of the newer technology, right? AWS as a partner, for example, has got great ways of deploying some of this technology. VDI as a fundamental tech enabled using some of the new AWS solutions allows you to spin this up very well. I think you touched the point on work from home, work from anywhere. Being able to marry these two things together and still be data compliant, still be security policy compliant, definitely helps in a big way. Vineet, I'm going to come back to you on the point that you touched on threat and how do you do threat monitoring? How are you looking at the entire threat landscape? Let's talk about that a little bit and how do you see it, and then you can give us a view in terms of the interesting work that you're doing in the detection engineering space.
Sure. I'll take that example where Abhishek mentioned, again, the old way of protecting the data with locking the laptop or instead using the VDI. We can control the access through it. You cannot be, again, there are multiple technologies which are still relevant, like data loss prevention, where we can categorize, classify the data. And in case if it is leaked, we have a control which can detect the length of the leakage and further investigate it. Now, AI coming into the picture, the process has speeded up. Like in case if engineer is spending 2 weeks in writing that code or a policy and test it and deploy it and make it in production and test. So that 2 week get reduced to a few hours where we have a deployable code which can detect or a policy which can be tested immediately and deployed. So we work very closely with multiple threat intelligence team or the feeds we collect. We see how the adversaries are behaving, what exactly they are after. We understand their tactics, and then we read, analyze how it is relevant with our industry, and start looking back. And again, with AI coming into the picture, we can build that code or a policy or a rule to detect that in hours and deploy and contain that possibility of breach within it happens or before it happens.
Great points. In this space, I think there's also a lot of conversation around, using AI agents and, using autonomous detection technologies. Do you want to touch upon that and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we started testing. Again, we are migrating from the conventional SIM technology to an AI-enabled one. So, again, they came up with a feature of self-healing detection where if there is a configuration issue on your detection, if it's pushing or a lot of false positive, not detecting the right alerts, it can self-heal or detect or propose the right code, which again minimizes the effort which you're putting in fine-tuning it. It's again the kind of time we are spending on building something to detect has been drastically reduced. We haven't explored agentic AIs yet. We are looking into it. I think no organization has been matured enough into deploying agentic AI into SOC yet, as I know, but you can take examples if you have.
Sure. No, I think, there's a good mix that's out there, right? And to some of the points that you're talking about, I'd like to quote for the audience, right? Today, when Abhishek spoke about this, you can't just throw people at it, right? AI works in a great way. If I look at the managed detection response service that we run globally, we are currently averaging across close to about 100 customers that we manage, about 70 terabytes of data ingest that our analysts are looking at. Analysts cannot look at that much amount of data, right? So huge amount of AI-enabled platform engineering that goes in on the detection side. We actually today on the platform, our AI-enabled platforms actually cutting down about 60 to anything between 60 to 70% of the ingest, right? That's the noise that we cut down before it comes down to an analyst, right? So definitely some of the points that you said in terms of how are you using it as code,